Good evening everyone, this is Emson. Tonight's video is about the ZMF Auteur. I first want to thank Zach and his team for allowing me the chance to hear the Auteur in my home. I did have an extended listen of right about 6 months or so, which I felt gave me a lot of time to really come to know the headphone and appreciate it. Now, we're also going to talk a little bit about the ZMF cables, which are the 2K copper and the silver mechanicos, and how they relate to the Auteur and where I feel that they really benefit this headphone and how I feel that they're going to relate and benefit you guys in your system. Getting into the meat and potatoes, let's talk again a little bit about the build of it. As you guys know, Zach makes these beautiful wood headphones and I have with me a Cocobolo Auteur. What I like about the new ZMF build style is it is a bit more ergonomic, it is a little bit lighter. It's not as robust or as heavy as it used to be, and I appreciate that. I did feel that overall that this was an exceptionally comfortable headphone, and I did like that they stuck to this magnesium metal hardware, the leather straps, the wood cups, very beautiful. On the flip side, the LCD2 PreFazor does have more plastic on there in addition to the wood, metal, and leather, and of course the HD800 uses plastic where possible to keep the weight down and has the metal where necessary. So I appreciate again the aesthetics as well as the smart ergonomic choices made by the ZMF team in designing this headphone. And yes, they are a little bit lighter than they were in the past. Now in terms of sound quality, I just want to start by saying that I do feel the ZMF Auteur is one of the best headphones that I've had a chance to hear. The price on it is right about $1,600. You can spend a little bit more depending on the wood and the cable terminations you want to get. You can spend a little bit less if you get them on a B-stock. The reason I feel that this is one of the best jack-of-all-trade headphones, or maybe one of the best open backs within its price point, is because of what it does so well, and it does a lot really well. What I like about it is there's a little bit of emphasis on the decay, a little bit of emphasis on the release. I feel that tonally, the bass it's full, it's not too forward, but there's a bit of emphasis there. I feel the mid-range is very even in tonality. I feel the top end has a good bit of presence. Some of the problems with this tonally that I didn't like were that sometimes it felt a bit too full and sometimes it wasn't sharp enough or precise enough for me. There were times when I wanted a little bit of less harmonic content, in relation to the lows and the mid-range, and a more pronounced, presentation of fundamentals or a sharper attack. Now, the ZMF cables kind of help correct that. Now, Zach talks about his silver mechanicos as a technician, right? As a cable that really helps to maybe correct some fullness in your system and really to kind of clean things up. And honestly, I really preferred the silver mechanicos with the ZMF Auteur because it did correct some of the slight misgrievances that I had. Some people will say that they feel that the ZMF Auteur is a bit too full or maybe too warm, and to those people I say I would definitely try a dry tube as well as the silver mechanicos cable. I really liked what my RME 80i2 DAC brought into the system with the ZMF Auteur. As you guys know, I do use a modded tube, and my set tube amp does have very dry tubes. I have a Sylvania driver tube and Russian power tubes. So for me, I prefer clarity, naturalness, right? I don't like my source or my amplifier to really add much to the chain. Some people want that. Some people want their source and their amplification to maybe help to add a more natural harmonic presentation, right? That's what some people want. The HD800 benefits from that. However, me, myself, again, I want things as natural and as transparent as possible. And when I pursue a very natural, a very transparent, a very just, sterile sounding source and amplification system, I feel that the ZMF Auteur shines. Now, how does the Auteur compare to the LCD2 and to the HD800? Well, the HD800 and LCD2 are polar opposites. They present things very, 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 very differently, and again, the Auteur really kind of sits in the middle, bringing in the best of both without the flaws of either. That being said, the Auteur will never be as good as the HD800 in its presentation of, technical, so details, and its presentation of micro detail of spaciousness, right? And by the same token, I did not feel that the ZMF Auteur would ever have just the exceptionally bottomless low-end presentation of the LCD2, nor its very organic, very natural again, low to mid-range tonality. But the flaws of the LCD2 are that its top end is a bit dark, it's a bit de-emphasized, and that its sense of space doesn't lack precision, but it's sometimes a bit more intimate than I would like. On the flip side, again, some of the flaws of the HD800 is that it can be at times a bit too aggressive. Its tonality is not as even as I would like it to be, and sometimes I want a little bit more bass from it. Sometimes, not always, but very much sometimes. And another problem that some people have with the HD800 is the emphasis that it draws to your music, how clinical and unforgiving it is. Not to mention the HD800 can also be very, 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 very spacious and can sometimes almost separate you from the music. Some people say that they feel that things are too far apart with the HD800. So again, going back to the Auteur, it really sits in the middle. It is not as spacious nor as insanely detailed and technical as the HD800. By the same token, it is not as intimate and sometimes as organic as the LCD2. It really does, again, excel as a jack of all trades. I felt that with a very transparent system, with a cable that helps to de-emphasize the mid-range and de-emphasize some of the bloom in it, that the Auteur really shines as, again, a flawless jack of all trades headphone, really bringing in some of the best elements of two very good headphones but very different headphones. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Some of my favorite genres on the LCD2 are going to be jazz, with the way that it presents the cello, the way that it presents guitars, the way that it presents vocals. I also love the sound of percussion with the LCD2. But what I miss on the LCD2 is the sound or the sense of space. When I switch over to the HD800, I can get a better feeling. I can hear more of the sound of the room that things were recorded in. Whereas the LCD2 brings attention to the music itself, the HD800 kind of brings attention to not just the music but the scene as a whole. When I listen with the HD800, I can really picture not just the music but the room that I'm listening in. Right? That for me, that's the benefit of the HD800. And there are times when I really want to immerse myself in the music, not just the musician and the music itself, but also the room. Sometimes I want to immerse myself in just that entire environment. By the same token, there are days when I don't want to care anything about the environment. I just want to listen to the music, and that's what the LCD2 does best. Going back to the Auteur, it is effortless in the sense that it gives me the option to go one way or the other. If I want to pick out details or try to really envision myself in the environment that music is recorded, the Auteur can do that. Right? The top end is not emphasized, but it has enough presence that it really helps with some of the spatial cues of people walking, voices. It helps to bring out some of the details like a guitar pick or even positional things such as a footstep. A musician maybe tapping their foot. It brings not emphasis, but helps you to really get a sense or get a vivid imagery of somebody breathing, things like that. By the same token, if I want to focus more so on the music, if I really want to but really get immersed in micro details, transients. For example, I love listening to Jimi Hendrix because of what he does on his guitar. The little bends and the way that he plays that instrument. With the Auteur, I can also hone in on those transients, those little details that make every musician different, even on the same instrument. Right? So whereas again the LCD2 brings a lot of emphasis to micro detail and to the music and the musicians, and again whereas the HD800 brings more so detail to everything, the music, the room, the equipment, the technician 40 feet away trying to fix something, right? The Auteur doesn't bring really any emphasis to any piece of the recording, but really just effortlessly presents it and gives me, the listener, a choice to decide where I want to place my attention and really listen to music in the way that I want to. So I feel that the value of the Auteur is as a single headphone, right? I don't feel that it fits in with a big collection. There are things the HD800 does better, there are things the LCD2 does better. So I typically will grab one or the other depending on what I want to listen to. For me, the value of the Auteur was when it was the only headphone I listened to. So for those of you guys who are in the market for an open back headphone, I am definitely going to recommend you give the ZMF Auteur a listen. give it a listen and give it strong consideration, because this is definitely an open back headphone that you can purchase and enjoy without having to wonder if you're missing anything or wonder if there's something better as a jack of all trades. Again, as a jack of all trades, I feel that with a very transparent system, it's exceptional. I also feel that its presentation is safe enough or comfortable enough that you can push it in one way or the other. You can make it a bit more intimate and tonally beautiful like an LCD2, or a bit more technical like an HD800, depending on how you change your system. And again, that's where the ZMF cables come into play. I wanted a bit of a sharper presentation from the Auteur, so I went with the Silver Mechanicals cable. If I wanted a bit more of a tonally beautiful and maybe slightly more just maybe intimate presentation, I could go with the 2K copper. So again, guys, if you have not had a chance to hear it, please give the Auteur a listen. It is a phenomenal headphone. If you're in the market for it, definitely speak to Zach and see what woods that are there for you, so that you can really fine tune the Auteur into what could likely be your one and only open back headphone. As always, guys, thank you for watching. Leave your questions or comments below. Happy listening and have a great night.